This is Dan Phillip with DG Phillip and Associates. Welcome to Workforce Wednesday. Onesimus means useful, employees. There was an indentured servant around 61 AD by the name Onesimus, and his name meant useful. But Onesimus really didn't feel so useful. He was, for a lack of better words, relegated to a life of captivity. In the first century, it was sometimes the only way that somebody could have enough food, clothing, water, and a pillow for their head. And unfortunately, in America, we still have people 2,000 years later with the same problems as Onesimus, even though they're free to do what they want. The United States has unlimited opportunities for all of us, but we are people who have access to a lot of good and not so good things. Therefore, we can suffer the same consequences as Onesimus did with his choices. Sometimes we fall upon hard times even when things weren't so much our fault, but like Onesimus, we can have a job we don't like, or even one that pays us a lot, and still feel the way of a lowly slave by the name of Onesimus. That doesn't mean it's the truth, but it does mean that's how we feel. Like the useful one, he longed for more. Employees are human beings longing for purpose and meaning. Their jobs don't have to provide that purpose and that meaning, but their jobs can help them find that purpose and meaning. He wanted real purpose and real meaning. He wanted to know what freedom was like, so he escaped to the big city of Rome to find his fortune. He escaped perhaps because he worked long hours, endless domestic duties that he had. His work wasn't appealing or even purposeful. His life must have seemed routine, trapped, useless. He felt the opposite of his name, much like many of the people in the workforce today. He received meals and shelter for his services. He wasn't going hungry, and he had a pillow to lay his head on at night, but is that all there is to life? Which is what many of our employees are asking themselves. There has to be more. I feel empty and like I'm wasting my life. I imagine you have employees who feel the same way as Onesimus, so they walk off the job. They don't show up. They complain all the time. They run instead of growing where they are and showing themselves as good and faithful employees. They're looking for the grass where it's greener. They're looking for Rome, perhaps. Your employees are looking for the same things Onesimus wanted. Once the useful one, Onesimus, made it to Rome, he found himself in prison with a prisoner by the name of Paul. Just so happened, Paul was imprisoned for sharing the good news of the gospel of Jesus Christ. Onesimus was, by the joy and grace and the attitude of Paul, drawn to him. Once he got to know Paul and Paul got to know him, and Onesimus got to know Jesus Christ, everything changed for Onesimus and for Onesimus's employer, Philemon. Now, Onesimus felt the freedom from the bondage of his bad attitude, lack of work ethic, and the grass in Rome was greener than in Colossus. The grass becomes greener wherever I water and feed it. What we put into ourselves and or others is what will come out. Paul knew Philemon, the employer for Onesimus. Paul spoke through a letter to Philemon that Onesimus is now a brother, not just an employee. So now treat him as such, and then he'll be useful to you. Treat your employees the way you want to be treated, and they too will become useful to you, your business, their families, and our communities.